Hey everyone, I got some more economic news. It's just one week after another. This is crazy. But Trump began uh, an executive order to repeal the Dodd Frank Act. And if you don't know what the Dodd Frank Act is basically after 2008 crash, banks got or I should say before the 2008 crash. I apologize. Um, Bill Clinton repealed Glass Steagall, which I'll get into in a second, which kind of contributed to the 2008 crash because basically Glass Steagall was a an act to bring in the reins on the banks, basically like to control their spending so they don't get out of control. And then Bill Clinton repealed it during his term, and then 2008 crash happened pretty much, and then Dodd Frank was signed in 2010 under Obama. And the whole thing was, is because the banking crashed and it fucked up the economy real bad. So now he's repealing that. So what does that mean? Possibly another crash, but also my bank stocks, my ETFs jumped up. This is let's see what the ETF is. VFH. Let's look at it on the Robinhood. Oh, it's already there. Sweet. VFH. So you see here on this one, look at this spike up right here, just gapped up on this news. So it was, for the most part, there you go. So the most part, like this ETF, the bank sector's been going pretty good. And then this big jump, pretty much right after Trump won, the bank stocks went up. You see this big jump right here? Because, he had the whole campaign rhetoric of repealing Dodd Frank. So obviously the banks are excited about that. And then now that he started doing it, only after a second week, there's another big gap up here. So obviously banks are loving this play. I said before in other videos, his way to stimulate the economy is to get banks to spend. Obviously, he wants banks to be loaning people money, credit cards, home loans, student loans, whatever, any kind of loan where they can collect interest, obviously raising interest rates along with the Federal Reserve. Of course, the Federal Reserve has only raised the interest two quarter points in a decade, so he's kind of jumping the gun and get ahead of that. So now, now we're seeing that this is being signed off, so there's already a big jump in the economy, and the banks are already reacting to it. Now, just to kind of go back to the whole Glass Steagall thing, basically it was, what is it, 1929, I think, was the Great Depression or the big market crash, which led to the Great Depression. And in 1933, something like that, they signed Glass Steagall, basically known as the Banking Act, but it prohibits commercial banks from engaging in the investment business. And it was enacted in emergent response to the failure of nearly 5,000 banks during the Great Depression. So from 29 to almost 2009, you could say, there's been like obviously like big dips and like little crashes or flash crashes, but nothing major like the Great Depression until we had the Great Recession in 2008, 2009. And like I said, Bill Clinton repealed Glass Steagall because he's not a Democrat, he's a corporate Democrat. So like he has donors, he has banks lending to him and stuff. So of course they pushed him to do that. I'm sure it didn't take much, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars, and he said, "Yep." But so now that got repealed, in 2010 they did Dodd Frank. So of course Dodd Frank's getting repealed. So who knows how long into the future, possibly banks will get fraudulent with their money and crash the economy again. But that's not what this video is about. This video is highlighting banks that could benefit, of course. So obviously my ETF there you saw is one way to go. Wells Fargo, look at that same jump right here. Already jumped up off that news. And Wells Fargo had their whole scandal, so they've been beaten down pretty good. So it might be a good opportunity to get into them because sure enough, people already forgot about them fucking scamming, creating accounts and all that bullshit. And there you go, JP Morgan gapped up. See, all the banks gapping up on this news. What's Bank of America? BAC, I want to say. There you go. And then 1 week back, yep, Bank of America, same thing, is gapping up on this news. All the banks pretty much, I mean, this is what they want. They don't want regulation controlling them. They want, I don't know what Citibank is. Is this? I don't think this is it. Oh no, it's financial holding. Okay. Yep, see, and they're gapping up too. Um, this is exactly what the banks want. They don't want to be restricted by the government. They want to give as much people as money as possible so they could get paid on interest. And of course, they give out shitty loans and shitty credit card deals and shitty other things. And people are like, "Oh, free money, yay!" And they just fucking sign up for it like idiots, and not knowing not even being able to control their own finances, and ultimately leading to like market crashes and stuff. And then the banks, just get the pat on the back, and they get wiped clean, because the government bails them out, because we need our banks, unfortunately. But all that political bias aside, this is definitely a play for the banks. Now, this has all been along Trump's campaign. He's talked about it multiple times. This is nothing new. But it seems like this weekend, today, or starting today, though, he's starting to work on it. And, he's got like 20 executive orders already signed, and which is fucking ridiculous. But, because they criticized Obama for signing less than that in his entire like 8-year term or some shit. Basically because he's black and they're all white. Fucking racist. But anyway, Trump's an orange fuckface. But this, just pay attention to things like this, because this is definitely major economic shifts that are going to be happening. And now that they're repealing Dodd Frank, the banks are basically going to get the go ahead to start lending. It's going to be a rally in the stock market for sure, but it's going to probably lead up to a bubble that's going to pop. So just keep that in mind. And as always, follow up on this, guys. Don't just listen to me. Check the news. Check other channels and stuff like this. It looks like it just got started today, so I'm sure people are already coming out talking about it. Pay attention, watch your money. You know what I'm saying? Like, take care of yourself. Look out for yourself. That's what I'm going to try to do. And if you like my content, as always, help me out. Click like and subscribe. I'm going to try to keep updating you guys on what I see and just, what I think is important. I want to make sure you have as much information as possible so you can make the best well-informed decision. So enjoy your weekend, everybody.